Let's dive right into this explainer because today we are charting the ultimate roadmap. We're going to trace the exact path from staring at basic spreadsheets to writing advanced code and ultimately securing that true career growth you've been looking for. So let's start with a really provocative question. Have you ever wondered why incredibly smart, capable data analysts stay stuck in the exact same job for years on end? Most people incorrectly assume the answer is simple. They just need to learn more technical tools. I mean, we've all seen it, right? Brilliant people completely stalled in their careers. They think to themselves, man, if I just learn one more library or pick up one more language, I'll finally get that senior title. But honestly, that is a massive misconception, and it creates what we call the forever junior analyst. The reality is, once you're actually in the door, technical skills are almost never the thing holding you back from a promotion.
Look, we have to bust a major myth right out of the gate here. If you are a beginner just looking to land your first role, deciding to learn Python first actually carries a massive opportunity cost compared to the really quick learning curve of BI tools. Think about it. If you pick up a tool like Tableau or Power BI, you're essentially dealing with a drag-and-drop, highly visual interface. You can reach real, usable proficiency in about a month. Python, on the other hand, that's an entirely new language. You've got to learn variables, loops, environments, syntax, the whole shebang. It is going to take you at least 6 months of feeling like you're making zero progress before you truly start to feel comfortable.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that while Python is incredible, it literally is the Swiss Army knife of data. It is often a skill you get paid to learn on the job rather than a strict requirement to get hired in the first place. I mean, if 4 out of 5 entry-level jobs aren't even asking for it, why on earth would you slow down your job hunt by half a year? Get your foot in the door with your solid spreadsheet and BI skills. Then, once you're collecting a paycheck, you can use your company's time and resources to totally master Python.
But okay, let's say you're finally ready to escape the crashing files and those endless, painful manual updates of spreadsheets. The good news is you can directly translate your absolute favorite Excel formulas into Python's Pandas library. Pandas is essentially just Excel inside of Python. You don't have to reinvent the wheel at all. You just need to learn a new vocabulary. Want to remove duplicates? Boom, that's just drop_duplicates. Text to columns? Simply use string.split. Doing a classic VLOOKUP to join 2 tables together, that is now called a merge. And your trusty old SUMIF? That becomes a group by. It's actually incredibly intuitive once you make those direct mental connections.
Now, think of these 5 foundational libraries as your complete, heavy-duty tool belt for replacing manual spreadsheet work with actual code. And the best part? You don't need to learn thousands of different packages. Pandas is your absolute workhorse for cleaning and organizing. NumPy acts like a super-fast, turbocharged calculator right inside Python. Matplotlib gives you quick, easy charts, while Seaborn builds right on top of that to make those charts look absolutely beautiful and professional with almost zero extra effort. Finally, SQL Alchemy swoops in to connect your Python code directly to your company's databases, completely eliminating those tedious manual database queries.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about some common pitfalls, starting with the absolute classic mistake of using a single equal sign in Python. If you do this, Python will immediately throw a syntax error in your face. See, in Excel, if you write equals if A1 equals B1, that single equal sign happily checks if those 2 cells match. No problem. But Python logic is much, much stricter. A single equal sign is used purely for assignment. It basically commands the computer, hey, make this variable equal to this value. If you actually want to ask Python, are these 2 things the same, you absolutely, without a doubt, must use the double equal sign.
Here's another massive trap for spreadsheet power users, ignoring Python's strict case sensitivity. This will absolutely ruin your data filtering and merging if you aren't paying attention. In Excel, Mito with a capital M and Mito with a lowercase m are treated identically. But Python, it looks right down at the underlying character codes. To Python, those are 2 entirely different words, complete strangers. If you try to do a VLOOKUP equivalent, like a merge, on a column without standardizing the text casing first, you are going to drop massive amounts of data and your analysis will be completely wrong. Always, always actively convert your strings to uppercase or lowercase before you start analyzing them.
Now, when your code inevitably breaks, and believe me, it will break constantly, that's just part of the process, follow these straightforward steps to read the error message calmly. Please, do not instantly turn to Google in a sheer panic. I know error messages look like a terrifying glowing wall of red text specifically designed to stress you out, but they are actually treasure maps. Seriously. Just start at the top, Look for the green arrows, keep tracing down until you see a line of code that you actually typed, completely ignoring all that dense background library code. Then, jump straight to the very last line. That last line is the punchline. It tells you the exact problem, like a syntax error or a missing variable.
As your skills level up and your projects grow, you're going to naturally stop writing simple one-off scripts. This is where understanding architecture concepts like object-oriented programming, or OOP, becomes absolutely vital for scaling your work cleanly. Instead of just passing raw data around and writing the exact same logic in 20 different places, you start modeling real-world entities. You create a customer object, or maybe a campaign object. That object securely holds its own data and actually knows how to perform its own calculations. This right here is the monumental leap from using Python just as an analyst to wielding it like a true software developer.
Now, within OOP, there is a subtle but incredibly vital difference between an attribute and a method. And honestly, it confuses people constantly. An attribute is simply stored data. Think of it like a donor's name. You call it just by typing donor.name with absolutely no parentheses. It's just a fact the object knows. But a method, that is an action. It's a function tied directly to that object, like calculating a lifetime value. Because it's an action that actually has to execute and do some work, it requires those parentheses at the end, like donor.calculateLTV.
Alternatively, if you find yourself dealing with massive, sprawling datasets, you might lean into functional programming. This paradigm relies on immutability to ensure your data stays consistent across multiple processors. Now, I know that sounds incredibly academic and dense, but it actually solves a huge, very practical problem. When you process big data, you're using multiple computer cores at the exact same time. If they are all trying to change the exact same piece of data simultaneously, everything crashes into a mess. Functional programming solves this simply by declaring that data can never be changed once it is created. You only ever return new data. It's basically the secret sauce that makes powerful frameworks like Apache Spark actually function.
Okay, so here comes the ultimate plot twist in our explainer. You've put in the hours, you've built all these incredible technical skills. You know Pandas inside and out, you're writing OOP, you even understand the nuances of functional programming. So why does your career still feel completely stagnant? Why are you literally sitting in the exact same role you were 2 years ago? Well, there is a stark, unavoidable contrast between an analyst who just acts as a human query machine and one who actively builds stakeholder trust by driving actual business value. Think about it. A forever junior analyst just waits around for tickets to be assigned. A promoted analyst proactively identifies problems and owns the entire process end-to-end. When talking to executives, junior analysts tend to freeze up, getting totally lost in the weeds of technical details and just stating raw numbers. But the promoted analyst, they deliver crisp 30-second summaries and back them up with confident, actionable business recommendations. Remember this, a promotion is never just a reward for writing good code, it's a risk decision made by your manager based entirely on how much they trust you.
So if you truly want to level up, follow this highly tactical 90-day plan to shift your focus from technical execution to real business ownership. Ready? In month 1, you need to stop blindly fulfilling data requests. Start asking what actual business decision the data is going to drive. In month 2, it's time to step out of the shadows. Volunteer to run a stakeholder meeting yourself and take total, undeniable ownership of a recurring problem. Finally, by month 3, you have to stop just handing over pretty charts. When you present, give clear, definitive recommendations. Make leadership's job easier by telling them exactly what you think the business should do.
If you take away absolutely nothing else today, I want you to remember this crucial realization. Mastering communication and decision-making confidence is the true, undeniable secret to advancing your career. You simply cannot hide behind your dashboards and your perfectly written Python scripts forever. The people who actually get ahead in this industry are the ones who can seamlessly translate complex data into plain English, guiding non-technical executives toward the right choices. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a hard look at your current workflow. Where can you step up and take real ownership? Stop worrying about being the smartest technical person in the room. Instead, ask yourself, what decision are you going to make today to stop just answering questions and start actually driving the business forward?